Well, hello everyone, and welcome back. It's been a long time since I uploaded some content, and that's mainly due to some pretty severe health issues that were life-threatening. But ignoring that for the moment, I have some new stuff on the workbench and a face cam. Unfortunately, it's not in front of me, so I won't be looking at it directly most of the time. And it does mean I'm using my really, really bad camera down here. We'll see what we can do about that in the future, but for the moment, what I wanted to show off was the show off, being a bit arrogant there. The new FlySky RM005. That's probably not going to focus, but actually, I remember now that I think about it, that's a autofocus camera that I've got set to fixed focus. Well, I guess this goes to show how out of practice I am with this. Anyway, this allows us to do FHSS on the NB-4, if I can get that down here. Which is great because currently I've also got one of the old Kyosho KT532 PTs around purely just for the FHSS vehicles. Now, I don't have many of them, but I do have the Mini Z buggy, and I also have the 4x4s they just released recently. I think that's the MX-001 or 010. And I would like to get rid of that receiver. I'd like to just have the one receiver. But until now, I haven't been able to do anything. Like the NB-4, unfortunately, has its own, there we go, that's probably better, has its own proprietary protocol. And while you can adapt the Evo vehicles, you can't actually adapt some of the older vehicles with the FHS receivers. So I'm going to stop blabbering around and let's open this package because I'm rather excited to see what happens. Now, quick word of warning. I have upgraded my FlySky receiver to the latest firmware. You will need to do this in order for this to work. Why that's a word of warning? That will wipe all your models. If you haven't been keeping up to date with the FlySky releases for the Noble NB-4, there's been some pretty significant changes. One of them is that I think it's 0.85 was the first version where they made it so that your models actually persist between firmware upgrades. Prior to that, every single firmware upgrade you did, you'd have to rebind all your vehicles and everything. So that's kind of annoying, and it's worth doing. If you're going to get this receiver, it's worth upgrading. Well, you'll have to update to the latest firmware, but at least once you're updated to the latest firmware, you won't have to worry about losing all your bindings every single time you go off and do another firmware upgrade. Now, the interesting thing about the FlySky and the NB-4 is they've been adding a significant amount of features over the last year or two. They haven't just released it and then said, that's it, we're done. They've actually been adding new features to it. The latest version is a lot simpler to, well, they've combined some features that were traditionally in separate menus, which is really, really nice. And overall just made the entire thing a bit more stable. They also put support for the new receivers. So if you're using the NB-4 with some of the like 16-channel receivers they've got out now or something like that, you'll be in luck. I guess that sentence doesn't make sense, but hey, whatever. It's, as I said, it's been a long time since I've actually done one of these streams, and I don't really have an agenda here, so you can see all the contacts there. Pretty light, small plastic unit. Not that you're going to care, because in the end it's going to be the NB-4. So let's get that box cutter out of the way. Pop open the NB-4, which this is probably the worst part about the NB-4 receiver. As much as I love it, it is such a pain. Okay, that came off pretty easy. It's normally such a pain to get the receiver off. So let's take a look in there. Actually not sure which way it orientates, but by the feel of it, yeah, okay. So it's actually chamfered on the sides here, if you can see, and the receiver can only go in one way. So that was a nice design choice. I'm kind of glad they did that. So we just slide. It's hard to get the light in just right. Let me just adjust the, no, that's not going to work. Oh, as I said, this is a really bad camera I've got on the desk here, so you'll just have to put up with it. I am planning to do a lot more video uploads in the future. I've actually got quite a big backlog, even though there hasn't been a lot of vehicles released. I had a whole lot of stuff ordered before my health issues and wasn't able to build or do anything. So I've now got the energy and motivation to do everything. So, I mean, as a classic example, I had this arrive today, the HTD1, and I'm looking forward to building this. After looking at some of the design aspects on it, I really can't wait to sit down and just chat about why this chassis looks good, and then see if it is actually any good in practice. I think there's been some reviews that have said this isn't nearly as good, but we'll see. It's an interesting chassis, and for the price point, there's a couple of nice. It doesn't compete against, I'd say, the high end, but it's probably a nice custom entry level chassis that you don't have to do much construction on, which is always a plus. Okay, so now I've got the module installed, and I'm not sure the best way to do the camera stuff here, but I think I'll just go like that.
Welcome to Noble.
Awesome. I just have to put up with the camera being sideways like I am. So I just want to show that we're up on the latest version of the firmware. So as you can see, we're on 0.93, which is up here. And that was updated in February 24th. It does do a couple of interesting things. The radio frequency selection. Mini set Evo. One of the more interesting things is you get the swipe menu support, which I really like, even if it is a bit finicky. That's what I bound it to. So let's take a look at, I think it might be system. I probably should read the instructions on what I need to do to actually use this, but factory firmware update. No, that's firmware update of the receiver. I was hoping there'd be an RF update. Model system RX set. RX interface protocol. No. Ah, okay, that's interesting. Yeah, the only problem is once you do the firmware update, you have to update all the individual receivers, and that's a bit painful. So if we go blind set, no. See, I thought it'd just be, maybe that's it. Okay. I still don't see the Mini Z FHSS, which should appear there. So I had assumed this is just plug and play, but maybe not. Radio frequency channel number. I've got it set to 4 channels. Copy, import. So normally I've got these videos where I just know what to do, but turns out not in this particular case. This is what it actually looks like, me just screwing around, trying to get it working. And then once I've got it done, that's when I record a video. So you know what? I'm going to restart the device.
Shutting down.
I would much like to be using that camera down here on screen. It's such a better camera now. Radio frequency setup. Yeah, it's still Mini Z Evo. Okay. Well, what we can do is cheat and go to FlySky's website. The NB-4 Gaishu, or is it the Zazai? I'm pretty sure it's a Gaishu or foreigner. And the F8 or FS-R005. Downloads and upgrades. I might just quickly see, can I do desktop over camera? There we go. So as you can see, is there a new firmware? Oh, wow. So there was a new firmware released only a couple of weeks ago. So I'm pretty sure I'm on 0.93. Firmware FCC version. Interesting. Let's have a quick look at the changelog because I'm a bit interested. I thought the older version actually added a FHSS port. I really hope I don't have to update, in which case I'll have to end the stream and come back later. And I think, you know what, given the dates, I think I do have to update the receiver. So I'm going to end the stream here and I'll be back shortly. Yeah, that was kind of a bummer. So see you in about 5 minutes.